Hi there, it's been a minute since I put out a video. There's been a lot going on this winter, life changes, and a lot of other stuff that has just made this winter really busy. Not to mention that winter does not really lend itself to gardening or to making videos about gardening. So it's been a little quiet around here, but I'm back. I'm so excited. And by the way, if you're new here, I'm Beth, and I am working on adding more native plants to my midwestern garden. I want to make it not just beautiful, but ecologically friendly and beneficial for wildlife and all the critters that I want to invite into my yard. So I hope you'll join me if that sounds interesting. In this video, I want to share with you my plans for my shade garden, which I hope to tackle this year. Up until now, I've kind of been working on it haphazardly, kind of without a plan, just throwing seeds and plants in there that I think are gonna like the conditions. So this year, I really hope to kind of put a plan to it and make it cohesive and really dig in earnest over there. I can't wait to show you those plans. Plus, I'll be sharing with you some of the other projects that I hope to get done around the garden this season. So stay tuned to the end of the video for that as well. Shade gardens generally, I feel like get a bad rap unnecessarily. If you've ever watched gardening content or read articles or books about shade gardening, they're always like, oh man, shade gardens, oh, it's this horrible challenge. But I don't think that that has to be true, especially with the sort of traditional ornamental plants that you might plant in a garden. I mean, when I think of shade plants, I think of hostas, and those are literally the most popular plant in residential landscapes, and they absolutely love shade. So you can definitely have a beautiful garden in the shade. By the way, hostas, I actually love hostas. They're not a native plant, but they have a place in this shade garden, and I'll share more about why in a minute. The thing that is tricky about shade, and this is definitely true of a lot of the native plants that I'm looking to add here, is that a lot of them are spring ephemerals or have other similar adaptations where they are taking advantage of the short amount of sunlight that they have before trees leaf out to kind of do their thing. And then they either completely disappear and go dormant, or sometimes some of them, for instance, like columbine, it's got really small, delicate leaves, very sparse leaves. It's kind of like dappled and see-through plant almost, because it's really pumping that energy into creating flowers very early in the season to produce seed, to produce flowers, and to be able to reproduce and make plants for the following season. These kinds of plants and spring ephemerals, a lot of that is what's going on in a shade garden or in a woodland ecosystem, and the effect can be kind of sparse if we're putting our suburban aesthetic tastes on it. So this is just my little beef. So anytime we're talking about how plants look in their aesthetics, that is not what plants care about. They are trying to live and survive and reproduce, and they don't care if you don't like what that looks like. Plants are alive, and they're doing their thing. Okay, rant over. That being said, I will be including hostas because they do have that really lush foliage, like these big wide leaves. That's their adaptation for being shade plants. So they do stay very full during the season. So I am going to use them to kind of fill in some gaps in my garden. And I'm also going to be using them just because they really say residential landscape, kind of like nothing else, right? So even if you don't know a lot about native plants and you're a little maybe skeptical of that, you can recognize that a hosta looks intentional. It's not a weedy mess. It's cared for. So I do plan to use hostas in this garden for that reason. So here's the plan. This garden is along the side of my house, and technically it's in the backyard, it's behind a fence. However, you can see it from my front door. So I do want to be thinking about how it looks to people who come visit my house. Plus, I want it to look pretty for me too. That is something that I really enjoy about gardening. A few notes about this space. There's an AC condenser that I'm hoping to hide in this design. I want to eventually add some gabions, which are like metal cages, and I want to fill them with sticks and things to kind of create a dead hedge or some kind of sculptural element using dead material from my garden. But that's kind of on the back burner. That's not a this year project. As far as the plants go, we've got a red maple that I think is probably 30 to 40 years old. It does have some issues, so I keep going back and forth whether I should just bite the bullet and take it down early or see how long it can live. Right now I'm planning to leave it as long as it is possibly alive and, providing all the benefit that a mature maple tree can be providing. So we've got that red maple, which is really the main canopy tree. I've also got back here a button bush and a pawpaw that I planted shortly after moving to this house. They're both a few years old, not very large. And then last year in the fall, I also added a native crab apple. So that one is literally just kind of a little twig at this point, but I'm excited for these to get bigger. The button bush I plan to move. It hasn't flowered yet, and my other button bush does flower in a more sunny spot. So I am planning today, actually, with all this beautiful weather, to go dig up that button bush and put it in my rain garden, where I think it's gonna be much happier. So those are the trees and shrubs that I've got going on back here. And then I've also got a lot of ostrich ferns. Do you want ostrich ferns? I can give you one, or 10, or 500. I also, like I said, I've been doing things really haphazardly. There's hostas that I kind of find in other parts of the yard as I add native plants, and then I kind of pop them out and I say, well, maybe I'll use it somewhere else at a later date. So I just kind of pop these hostas in here. So there's random hostas scattered throughout this place as well. And I'm hoping to sort of more intentionally place them into a more cohesive design as I work on this space this year. There's also a lot of Carex blanda, I think it's the common name is northern woodland sedge, maybe. I also want to include a few other sedges that will have a little bit different texture, maybe like something with a finer texture, maybe Carex rosea or Carex eburnia. Also possibly something with a little bit rougher texture, like a Carex plantagenea, I think would look really cool. But for now, I do have a lot of this Carex blanda there, which I was like, oh, I guess that just was always there. But I think I saw a packet of seed, half open packet of seed in my basement. So I guess I planted it maybe and forgot. Other things that are just there already includes violets. There's the common blue violet. There's also these white violets that I'm not totally sure what they are. And then last year, I also spotted in the spring Dutchman's breeches, which I was so excited about. So maybe the previous owner was also into native plants, because I kind of doubt that they would just appear all by themselves in a suburban backyard, but there you go. So I've been keeping a lookout for those guys this year. I may have covered them with this wood chip path that I just put in. So that was a change that I've already made. We had a few days that were really warm in February. I had gotten a load of wood chips and I went and made a path through this area to kind of define the space. That made me really excited to work on it because I can kind of see it turning into a garden now. And then in addition to those things, there is a ton of Canada goldenrod growing back there. And then I've also got the, I think it's snake root, Ageratum altissimum. It's a weed, I didn't plant it there, but it's a great wildlife plant in the fall. So I kind of let it do its thing here, especially while I was not actively gardening this space. And then I also have a ton of white avens back here. It was not a priority to remove it, and it is native. So there you go. And then in addition to that stuff that's there, I also added a few things in the last couple years. From my local Wild Ones last year, I ordered a shade garden kit that had 2 or 3 of a bunch of different woodland wildflower species. So I've got some yellow pimpernel. It also had early meadow rue in that mix. I believe it was downy wood mint. I always forget the common name, but whichever one is more of a shade plant. Also Jacob's ladder. Those were the ones kind of from their kit. Oh, and spikenard as well as blue stem goldenrod and big leaf aster. I also seeded in some American bellflower. Another one that's totally stunning in the shade is black cohosh. So I planted some bare root plants, I think I want to say 3 years ago. They finally bloomed for the first time last year, but I'm really looking forward to big drifts of black cohosh. There's also here cultivar, well, technically it's a selection of columbine called Corbett. I usually default to the straight species. I do really like the idea of this like lemony yellow color in the spring. I think it's gonna just look really pretty with the blue spring ephemerals. So that's not there yet, but I would like to add it. So then overall, this is sort of a snapshot mood board of what I'm going for there. A lot of blue and yellow and white, and hopefully getting blooms throughout the season, creating a lot of cover and pollen and nectar for different kinds of insects throughout the season. Okay, so what's next in my garden? Today, like right now, I want to go move that button bush to my rain garden. I'm excited to get out there and do some digging. I'm also going to be moving around some other shrubs. So last season, I showed you I got some New Jersey tea, and I already am like, I want it in a different spot. So I'm planning to move those as well. My chinkapin oak or dwarf chinkapin oak that I planted in the fall did not survive the winter, so I do need to get a replacement for that little guy. I also want to get myself a few more red twig dogwoods as well as a pussy willow, so I'm hoping that I can get that done in the springtime. If I can't do it in the next few weeks, I might just hold off till the fall, we'll see. And then I have a lot of other kind of projects where I want to like build things for my garden. So I want to create some planters for my non-existent vegetable garden, as well as I want to create a really large planter that can be near my front door and look really nice. So I'm hoping to share all of those projects here with you as well. Thanks so much. I wish you happy gardening. I'm so glad the weather is finally turning. It's that time. And I'll share updates with the shade garden and all of my other projects as well. We'll see you soon.